Hi everybody, it's Regular Girl. So I had a dream, and I want to talk about dreams, and I want to talk about something else. But first of all, about dreams. I'm someone who used to dream a lot, but this dream the other night was significant in a few ways. One of them is that the person who was in the dream is a significant person in my life. And the other thing about the dream that was significant is that I remember so much detail. So the thing about dreaming is that what I have discovered by listening to a lot of shows about paranormal and things is that lucid dreaming is something that people want to be able to do. Sometimes it's called a spiritual gift. Lucid dreaming is that while you're dreaming, you become aware that you are dreaming. As a result of that, you bring back a lot of details, or you can bring back more details in the dream. And there's something that happens, for me anyway, in the dream when I become aware that I'm dreaming. There's a physical sensation, which is strange because you're dreaming, so you have a dream body or vehicle. Then there's the physical body. Many times, not long after I become aware that I am dreaming, I wake up and I bring back the memory of the dream with greater detail. The other thing is astral projection. So like you're listening to a show, there's a lot of times there's a live chat going on, and it always seems to me that like people want to be able to do this thing. They'll buy books on both lucid dreaming and astral projection. Conscious astral projection is a different thing than lucid dreaming. To be consciously astral project is to be able, from laying down and then separating your astral body from your regular body, and then you float up to the ceiling many times or directly across from yourself, and you feel the separation of the astral body. People want to be able to do this, and I've heard it called a spiritual gift. The thing with me is that both of these things happened to me spontaneously. Like, I did not set out to do astral projection, nor did I set out to do lucid dreaming. They were things that I had to look up and find out what the WTF was that when I was young and it first happened to me. So, with the astral projection, in the last one that I had, the conscious one, I was up on the ceiling and I said, I don't want to do this anymore, thanks. Boom, back in my body. But, like I said, since then, I've seen others who want to learn how to do this. And, so it's something that happened to me. So I was a dreamer. As I got older, the dreams became less and less. It didn't matter to me. Dreams were really important. I loved my sleep time and my dream time, even though, this is kind of weird too, I always had difficulty in falling asleep. Like I had what I would call now a sleep disorder, until I changed that with some kind of medication routine. So, and substances have been a big part of my life. As I am 67 now, I can look back on a large part of years that have gone by, and I would have to say that there were years that I did not use any substances at all. That's not true either, because I was either smoking for some of them, but not all of them. There was this long period of time where I did not even use nicotine or sugar, and practiced meditation, where there were maybe some of those kinds of experiences like that would seem like astral projection, but they were not, or levitation, real levitation, like where your body comes up off the floor. In a blackout meditation, that means every effort was made to have no light come in the room, where we were all in a group meditation. So, but I had a dream the other night, significant dream, like I said, significant in a few ways. One was the person was a significant person in my life, and the other was the fact that it was partially lucid, which is why I think I remember so many of the details of it. So I'm older now, though. Like when I used to have these dreams, I'd be like, wow, what do they mean? What does it mean? What does it mean, And I'd look for the synchro-mystical events that would connect with it afterwards. So it has taken me a couple of days to process this and find out what they were. And I think I see how it's related to the video that I made before this. If you haven't watched it, watch it. I mentioned Carolyn Mace's, the title of one of her books is Why People Don't Heal and How They Can, and how it might be related to a piece of narcissistic disturbance, which is being more concerned with how other people view us and becoming a pain in the ass and not asking for help, or really maybe craving more attention than other people do. Now that would make sense for me. I was, for a time, a professional performer. So I do like attention. The sensation of receiving all the attention of an audience looking at me is a sensation that I'm used to, and I do like it sometimes. I may, in fact, if we were to examine my psyche, maybe I even need it more than others, or think that I need it more than others. So maybe I, in some ways, look for or seek ways to get it, even if I'm not using it appropriately. That is a viable, road to go down, I think, in the exploration of my psyche, which I do from time to time. And if I don't do it, maybe my dream body does. So in this dream, I want to tell you about this story. This is a story about Jesus that a lot of people are familiar with, but it took 24 hours, but then it came across my path. As soon as it came across my path at a certain juncture in the story, I knew that it was related to me and my psyche and the dream, because here's what happens in this story. There's a blind man by the well. It's a crowded gathering where Jesus is at. They're not all like this, but there's a blind man. And he keeps calling out to Jesus. And the people who are taking care of Jesus say, hey, quiet down, buddy. There's something going on here. And this guy just won't stop. He keeps yelling to Jesus. Finally, Jesus comes over. We all know mostly what's going to be the end of the story. Or do we? Because what Jesus says to this guy is, hey, what's your problem? He asks this guy a question. He doesn't just heal him. And when I first started to study scripture, because even though most of my life has been centered on what is called the spiritual or the esoteric, did not study scripture. I just didn't. It wasn't my thing. So it's only been recently. Anyway, I started to notice, Jesus doesn't always just come and heal. So he doesn't do that. He asks this guy a question. He asks the guy, this blind guy, do you want to be healed? Meanwhile, I told you this guy was carrying on, calling, have mercy on me, have mercy on me. Hey, I'm over here. Help me, please. I'm over here. Jesus does come over to him, but he says to him, do you want to be healed? Or do you want to be sick? And that's kind of the point of the story. Because after the guy says yes, he says to the guy, so get up then. Get up and make your way over to the pool, because they're at the healing pool, the healing waters of Bethesda. Interestingly enough, there was water in the dream that I had. It was about healing waters, specifically. And the guy who was telling this story in the YouTube that I was watching that came across my path says this. He talks about desperation, that sometimes we need to get desperate before something happens, because some of us are so stuck. We're so stuck in the comfortability of our sickness that sometimes sickness is even just that sameness, that stuckness. There are many different kinds of sickness, is what he says. Many different kinds of ways of being unhealthy or unwhole. And what he points out is that what Jesus tells this guy is, so get up and make your way over to the pool while the guy's blind. But that's what Jesus says to him, so he does. And he gets to the pool, he can see again. And now, for the rest of his life, he has a different story to tell people. This guy who once was blind now can see. But the thing that Jesus says to him, and the thing that this guy pointed out about the desperation that this guy had to get to the point of desperation before his narcissism got out of the way and he didn't care what people thought about him anymore. He just had a moment and he knew he had to go for it. And he was even willing to stand up, even though he was blind, and find the pool to do it, to get healed. That said something to me, and it really fit with the dream. The reason I'm not telling you the dream is because the person, I don't want to embarrass the person. And, yeah, dreams are interesting. Because it really is so. It really is true that this person being significant in my life, one of the first encounters that I had with him, I had gotten to a point where I had to lose it first, and I had to express my desperation. I had to lose it and say, like, wow, I'm losing it here, and I actually cried. And I am not a crier. Some people cry easily. I don't. I will wait till that point of desperation. And that's what happened with this person. And there are certain points in my life, and this is one of them. Maybe it's all the planets. I do know that there's a lot going on with planets as related to my natal birth chart. I can't tell you exactly how it is, but I've been listening to a show where I hear the familiarity of these placements, the grand trines and the grand squares, and I know the planets' names, and I have had my natal chart not just cast, but interpreted a couple of times in my life, and I'm going like, oh, whoa, whew, man, it sure is hitting home with me. So, and then this dream was like that, and I've had a dream about this person when these kind of things are going on in my life, major upheavals like this in all areas, and that's what seems to be going on. And so I had it again. But I have to say, in getting older, that this time there was less of woo-woo about it. You know what I mean by woo-woo? Like that mystical woo-woo. There was some of it, because I don't have it very often, and because there is a synchro mystical kind of lineup that happened, like, wow, it happened again. What does this mean? So I think what it meant is, you know, what I just shared about. And so here's what's going to be happening tonight. I'm going to be attending a meeting of where they're going to be talking about scripture, but a friend is going to be pushing me in a wheelchair because she offered. She texted me and offered. And I actually ended up saying yes. And believe me, this is going to be uncomfortable. Me being wheeled around in a wheelchair? Woo! See, I have my own motor wheelchair that I like. But it's hard, you know, you have to have a special vehicle. Oh God, I'm spinning and drooling. This is like really embarrassing. Anyway, that's the point of it. That's a topic that I'll be able to talk about a lot, aging. And I keep thinking I'm going to do that later when I start to feel and look better, is, you know, kind of be here for other aging people. I don't see a lot of channels for that, for old people. I am an old people. And if I wait any longer, I'm not going to be here any longer to give you tips or insights or things that I think about this process of aging. We're not cool anymore. And you know, I say this in my last video, but I'm going to say it again. Anybody who's listening to this, if you're a human being, you're going to end up either dead or aging. If you're not dead, you're going to experience aging. Doesn't matter how many vitamin drinks, or if you stop smoking or you stop drinking, the aging process is going to happen. So I guess there's a lot of surgeries you can do now to make you not look old. The resources, if you have a lot of resources, I guess you can kind of fend it off a little bit, but it's happening. The aging process. To counteract that, the only thing I can find that makes any sense is something spiritual, but it's happening anyway. So please subscribe. I would like to do live streams on YouTube. I need more subscribers. Please subscribe.